They told you she turned men to stone. But maybe it was accountability that froze them. Every generation has its monsters, but few have been rewritten this hard. Medusa, half woman, half weapon, all misunderstood. For 3,000 years, she's been painted as a villain because the truth made people uncomfortable. Not for kids. For men, they said she was a snake-haired horror who punished anyone who looked at her. But if you read the fine print, she was just a woman the gods couldn't handle. Ancient Greece, where democracy was born and consent died immediately after. So tonight, we're not talking about the monster. We're talking about the cover-up. They told you she was born a beast. That she crawled out of the darkness already cursed, already evil. That's the myth. The headline version. The made for men edition. The truth. She was human. A priestess of Athena. A woman devoted to purity, discipline, and peace. Until one day, Poseidon saw her, wanted her, and took her inside Athena's own temple. That's not myth. That's a crime scene. And Athena's reaction? She didn't punish the god. She punished the girl. She turned Medusa's hair into snakes, her skin into stone, and her name into a warning label. Apparently, in ancient Greece, getting assaulted was a fashion crime. And that's how Medusa became a monster. Not by birth, but by blame. The poets would later say her gaze could turn men to stone. Maybe because every man who looked at her was forced to see what they'd done. She wasn't cursed. She was branded. Her punishment wasn't divine justice. It was PR. The first successful smear campaign in mythology, and it worked. For centuries, they turned a victim into a villain and called it culture. This is the version everyone loves, because nothing sells faster than women hating women. They say Athena saw Medusa's beauty, got jealous, and cursed her. It's neat. It's simple. It's bullshit. Athena wasn't jealous. She was strategic. She was order. And Medusa's story was a PR problem. Think about it. A god rapes a mortal inside your temple. You're the goddess of wisdom and war. You can't punish the god, he's a brand partner. You can't ignore it, it happened on your property. So what do? You blame the woman. Ancient bureaucracy at its finest. Athena wasn't the jealous mean girl of Olympus. She was middle management in heaven's HR department. She didn't curse Medusa out of rage. She converted her into a warning sign. A sign that said, don't get noticed. Don't get beautiful. Don't get loud. They call it mythology, but it reads like a corporate memo. And men kept that version because it worked. It kept women competing with each other. Instead of questioning the system that made them targets, Athena's jealousy wasn't divine emotion. It was divine control. She didn't hate Medusa. She needed her to remind everyone else. What happens when a woman becomes too visible? They call him brave. They call him chosen. They call him a hero. But Perseus was basically ancient Greece's favorite trust fund kid. Every god handed him a weapon. A sword from Hermes. A mirror shield from Athena. A flying hat from Hades. The man was practically sponsored. They didn't send him to face danger. They sent him to silence it. And how did he kill Medusa? By sneaking into her cave while she slept. That's not courage. That's a home invasion. He used the shield as a mirror. Not to avoid her curse, but because he couldn't look her in the eye. Classic move. Men cause a problem, then flinch at the reflection. And when he cut off her head, they called it victory. The gods cheered. The poets sang. And the headlines wrote themselves. Perseus defeats evil woman. Civilization saved again. He decapitated a trauma survivor and somehow got a parade. Ancient Greece was basically the comment section. And the irony, even dead, she still had power. Because when Perseus carried her head around, it turned every monster he met to stone. He didn't slay a monster. He stole her strength, her gaze, her story. And men have been doing that ever since. So no, Perseus wasn't a hero. He was a PR campaign with abs. They said her head was cursed, that it brought death, that it spread fear. And yet, They put it on everything: helmets, shields, armor, temples, coins, doors. If that's evil, it's also excellent branding. After her death, Athena took Medusa's head and nailed it to her shield. That's right. The goddess who punished her turned her into a logo. Imagine Nike using the face of the worker they fired. They said her gaze was deadly, but to them, it was useful. It scared enemies. It protected homes. It decorated marble halls. They called her unholy, but they couldn't stop using her. Because power is addictive, and Medusa had it, even in death. She became the ancient world's security system. A decapitated woman repurposed as a talisman. They killed her body, then trademarked her face. She wasn't evil. She was effective. And that terrified them more than any curse. Because deep down, they knew something they'd never admit. You can destroy a person, but not their power. That's the part they couldn't turn to stone. Here's the truth. Medusa was never the villain. She was the mirror. She didn't turn men to stone. She just made them look at themselves. And they couldn't handle the reflection. Every civilization needs its monsters. Someone to point at, so they don't have to look inward. Medusa became that for the Greeks, the Romans, the church, the painters, and eventually, for us. When Christianity rose, they made her the devil's ex-girlfriend, a symbol of sin, lust, and feminine danger. Because heaven forbid a woman have agency, during the Renaissance, male artists painted her suffering and called it beauty. They loved her head, just never her voice. Caravaggio froze her scream on canvas. Benvenuto Cellini immortalized her beheading in bronze. Men kept telling her story, but only from the side holding the sword. And yet, she never disappeared. Centuries later, she resurfaced. In art, in protest, in fashion. Versace made her the face of seduction. Feminists made her the face of resistance. Luciano Garbati sculpted her, holding Perseus' severed head, and for the first time in history, she looked calm. Not vengeful, not monstrous, just done. After 3,000 years of slander, she finally got her story back. Because you can bury the truth, but it doesn't stay buried. It waits. It grows. And one day, it looks you straight in the eye. They lied about Medusa to make her small, to make her safe, to make her forgettable. But every lie they told only made her legend bigger. She wasn't the end of the story. She was the warning that power without permission terrifies the powerful. So the next time someone tells you Medusa turned men to stone, remember, maybe she just stopped them from moving forward with another lie